So yeah, what's your name and who are you with?
My name's Gary C. Evans. I live actually in Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Okay, Texas, let's go.
Yeah, I run a public company called Generation Hemp.
Okay.
We are the largest hemp processor in the U.S. Most of our operations are in Kentucky. So we got involved in the crypto about a year ago, and we're now establishing mining operations, 3 in Kentucky, 2 in Arkansas, and 1 in Costa Rica.
Whoa, so how did you guys get started, right? Like everyone has a beginning when it comes to crypto.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I got hired. I'm a former banker, and I got hired by a crypto company here called Cryptech Solutions, and they're the largest reseller of machines in North America.
Okay.
And we were looking at some strategic alternatives and helped them get kind of their business in order. They had grown so rapidly. I think last year they had $400 million in revenues and $25 million net income with a 2-3-year-old company. So,
wow.
So got to know them really well. The 2 owners, Joseph and Patty Stefanelli, and so they kind of educated me. And there was a real need for finding low-cost power. Obviously, energy. I was an oil and gas guy for 35 years, so I know energy pretty well. And power is the cheapest or the most expensive part of crypto mining, and finding isolated pockets of power around the country is kind of what I'm specialized in. So if a utility or co-op has built a substation and it's out in Timbuktu and there's 20 megawatts sitting there and no industry ever came,
right,
and we can go contract that power real cheap. So that's kind of our niche. We're doing the smaller projects. There's probably not anything we're doing over 20, 25 megawatts, 5, 10, 15, 12.
Whoa.
Yeah, nobody really builds like 100 megawatts worth of capacity in a substation and doesn't have a use for it. You're talking
right.
Tens of millions of dollars.
That's exactly
Whoa.
right. Yeah, they'll be like an industrial park approved by the local government. A bunch of money was funded by the feds, and then nothing happened. I looked at one in Kentucky a couple weeks ago. This huge industrial park. It's been sitting there 20 years.
Yeah.
Substation is sitting there. There's no use for the power. So that's where you get to cut
That's
deals,
ideal.
because
Okay.
all the infrastructure's in place, and you can move modular Bitcoin machines in and up in business. They already got transformers. I mean, everything is.
That is the
plug and play.
long lead item in every critical infrastructure for any significant industry, right? Is power.
Okay.
It takes a lot of work, energy, money to get that point. And it's kind of what we used to do. We're an energy infrastructure company that got into crypto. We're doing the same thing, building projects in different places in the U.S. and in other countries. And then in 2017, the market ran way up. We were working with these companies doing all these projects, and the Bitcoin fell flat, down to like $3,000 or $2,500, whatever it was. And so they were like, hey, we don't have any money anymore. So we started lending them money.
I see.
And that's how we started in the business.
Well, it's a great time, in my opinion. I've always been a bottom fisher in my life in the energy sector. So this is the most perfect time to get in the business. You still got $22,000 prices, and you got machines at
cheap.
dirt cheap. And so what we're trying to stay away, though, back on the utility side, is gas fired, because natural gas prices, as you know, are up pretty high. And natural gas here in the United States is a world commodity now, because we have all these LNG projects that can ship gas to Europe or wherever. So we're doing a lot of renewable, solar, wind, nuclear, not really renewable, but it's cheap power, and then hydro. So that's kind of the areas we're staying in.
Awesome.
With respect to the power side. I do believe that there will be a green Bitcoin. I think there will be Bitcoin and there'll be green Bitcoin. And so we're kind of trying to be part of the green side, because so many companies are going to have to, with a carbon footprint, get energy and get investments in the green area. And so if you can say, hey, I'm generating Bitcoin using green energy, I think that's going to get a premium.
And that's your biomass that you're doing with the hemp.
Exactly. So as a biomass producer over in Kentucky, we have millions of pounds of waste material. After when a farmer grows hemp, it comes out of the field in these huge super sacks, and it's wet. It's 85-90% wet. And so our job is, we have dryers, 4 dryers. We dry it, we clean it, we strip it, and we pull the flower out. Now, flower is what goes to make CBD products that many of you probably have used. The waste biomass is what we then take, and we can burn that into a boiler, generate heat and steam to make electricity. Same thing you would do with wood waste from a
a lumber mill or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all the wood waste. So hemp has the same B2 value as wood. Hemp takes 90 to 120 days to grow. A tree takes 12 to 15 years to grow. So there you go.
Yeah.
But we got to get farmers incentivized enough to grow enough hemp to do that. But that's where we're headed.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you got into this Bitcoin thing, a year ago, kind of whatever it was, and learning that. We've had some other interviews where they've been into it for years. We've been into it for years now. What have you learned about Bitcoin that you think is unique or interesting, that somebody who has never been in Bitcoin or doesn't know anything about it, that you would tell them about or want to explain to them?
Well, what's amazing is that any retail individual can be involved with Bitcoin if they want to. They can go buy a machine. Now, the problem is you plug and play at your home, you're paying 12, 14, 16 cents a kilowatt hour. And where I think we have an opportunity in this space is by finding these pockets of cheap power, we could begin hosting for people. And so I think there's a really unique opportunity for younger investors to get involved in industry that, people go, oh, it went up to 70, it's down to 18 or 20. Look, I've been in the oil and gas business 35 years. Oil was 11 and went to 112, back to 16. I mean, I've lived that 5 different times. So this is nothing, in my opinion, and I am absolutely amazed at how well Bitcoin has held up in this last downturn. The overall markets are down. I think we're headed to a severe recession. But Bitcoin has held up remarkably well, in my opinion.
And we've seen that. We used to be in the oil and gas business too. We had a company that would build upstream and midstream assets, right? So we were doing compressor stations and all those other things for like a gathering system and processing, right? And then also in the electric markets. But we saw the same kind of thing. We said, man, this is just like a decline rate on a well.
Exactly.
The difficulty rating, and then you had the bear and bull markets in the gas. So using forward contracts, we created these little derivatives to help fund these projects. So
derivatives have saved the industry. That's how, I had 3 upstream oil and gas companies on the New York Stock Exchange, and we hedged and bought puts and did costless collars and did all the things we could to mitigate risk, because I can pretty much tell when I drill a well what I'm going to make. I can't control the price.
Yeah.
And the same here, as more hedging and more swaps and more derivatives can be involved in this industry, which as the industry grows, that will naturally occur, then you'll be able to hedge your positions. Because as a miner, we start generating coins. I may not want to sell them, but I may want to hedge that asset.
Or borrow against it, right? And that's exactly kind of what we did. Our first deals were with a hedge fund that we could convert Bitcoin to dollars but not lose the Bitcoin, right? So we would do swaps, basically, right? And engage in those swaps, and we would lend that out to our clients. And we started doing this, and we were funding, a lot, at least for Bitcoin space, upwards of 100 million in China with one client.
Wow.
In expansion, and they were basically buying chip foundry capacity to make more chips. So we were at the very, at the commodity layer of the network, not just, buying machines. We were actually going to the chip level with that capital. And so we had these derivatives, and we basically did a risk profile, a risk slide on that derivative to see what it would take for Bitcoin, where it would have to go, and what was the decline rate in terms of pricing and the difficulty in the halving and all these things. And so we did all that stuff in 2017, 2018. So we were like one of the first guys out there. So it's interesting to hear somebody who's got an oil and gas background, kind of like us a little bit in the electric markets, that knew exacly the same.
Believe there's a lot of oil and gas people in this business already.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. And one other thing I want to point out, we've had 3 pretty big funds in the crypto Bitcoin fail in the last 60, 90 days. Which, kind of leads me back to the Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers days.
They were doing crazy things that they shouldn't have been doing.
They were doing crazy things. But it really, we saw Elon at Tesla sell $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. We've had 3 firms fail, and the price has really held up really well. So that tells you it's diversified globally, and there is a base. And I was predicting it'd go to 13,000. It still may if we have a big crash in the market, but I feel pretty good about it right now.
Yeah, and all of this really leads to kind of the basic structure that if somebody is brand new watching this and they're not sure what to do, just start dollar cost averaging, set aside a little money at the end of the week, the end of the month, whatever it is, and just start buying a little bit over time.
Right.
Average into the market, because then you can use those averages to provide a little better safety, a little bit of security. And then, one of the things you could do too is you buy our token, our SMTF token that we have, right? Because all we do is we make loans to other people on Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. So there's an asset that's backing that. We also make loans to small businesses. We've done real estate, done a lot of these things where we're originating the proceeds to make loans in the crypto side and taking it to the traditional world, which is different. Most people are going the other way.
The opposite direction.
Yeah. And that's provided us a lot of safety and a lot of security. When the market came off, we had about basically 1/3 of our portfolio in traditional assets.
Well, like right now, the 3 sites we have up in Kentucky, we have to buy the land.
Yeah.
And the land purchase is about $3 million, and it's for 3 different substation sites. And I negotiated that purchase down to $1.5 million, and then with contingency payments, if Bitcoin goes to 30,000, get another 250, 40,000, another 250, 50,000. So that way we're in. I go, guys, this is not 60,000 Bitcoin days. This is 22,000.
Yeah.
I can't give you what you want, but I will let you participate on the upside if I get the
you
upside.
got a floor and then you got a ceiling.
And so that's the deal we just cut.
Yeah, and that's how all developed, mature markets work, right? When you build these derivative contracts that have contingencies around specific inputs on pricing. If it goes here, then I go here. If I go here, then I'm hedged here. And that mature, that market is certainly what's happening in the crypto space with guys like you.
Yeah, and you'll see more traditional guys like me come in this space, undoubtedly. And especially if it does well through this market downturn, which I think it will, you'll see a lot of, you're seeing more banks, you're seeing, you can't go to a 7-Eleven now and not see a Bitcoin machine. I mean, it's coming, and if the government will just keep their paws off and let us run it, we'll be fine.
We just finished a deal with a bank, the state that I'm in, that they're going to give FDIC insurance on everybody's dollars that are deposited on our platform. And we're starting to do some deals with these guys because they recognize it, they see it, right? And they want to be in that space. So dollars that we pull off from the sale of our token going to go into the bank, and now it's FDIC insured, right? And so we're doing different things that way that allow these guys, as a state bank, they can go out and lend anywhere in the U.S., right? And so it makes a great partnership because they have all the regulatorily compliant pieces of banking, but we have all the good pieces of crypto.
Gotcha.
And so we kind of put the two. It's the best of banking and crypto with a combination of them.
Thank you for having me on, and let's have a great conference. I'm looking forward to the events this evening.
Yeah, it was awesome. Good to meet you,
Nice
Gary.
to meet you. Thank you.
Thanks for the chat.
You're welcome, bud.